Good evening, football fans, and welcome to Monday night's ILFL Soccer Night show. And in the studio with me tonight, I have a full complement of ILFL dignitaries. That's right, we'll be getting to them. We have the regular man back on my left, Mr. Rashid Ali, who unfortunately won't be here tonight to stir up controversy with Nanu. It's best to keep them apart, I'm sure. But we do have our chairman in the house as well, Mr. Kamran Zaman. Good evening, sir. We also have a guest on the show who I'll be introducing you to a little later. But what we are going to start with is the Veterans Cup tournament that we spoke about last week. Yes, it was the ILFL and Shanali Oath Veterans Cup quarter-finals. On the night, being Thursday night, we had quarters and semis taking place on the night. We had 4 teams taking part, one of which were Beaumont themselves.
Being a cup holders, we were looking forward to the quarterfinals.
You were looking forward to the quarterfinals. The other teams that were there, Beaumont were up against Aberhane, Bromley played Weavers, London Tigers played FC Redbridge, and Stepney Legends played Barnardos. Now, we spoke about it last week on the show. We looked at the 8 teams. We thought it was actually going to be very, very close. There were 8 good quarterfinal teams taking part.
It was very close. Again, we said down on last week's show that teams like Barnardos, Weavers, you can't take lightly. On a cup, as we've seen in previous years or in last season, for example, on the day it depends on who's the hungrier team, who wants it more, who's got the passion, and who performs on the day. So anything could happen on the cup competition.
And for Beaumont themselves, I mean, I'm gonna ask you about this now, Rash. Your cup holders.
Yeah.
You go into it. Do you go into it confident? Tentative?
Luckily for the Beaumont Masters, in the last 4 weeks, we picked up good results and everyone's been performing. And more importantly, everyone's been attending. We haven't no people missing. So that was a good way to go into the cup. And we came top of the group the previous week. So we were feeling confident as the cup holders. We knew the pressure's there, but we knew obviously if we keep the same momentum, we can go further.
So what are Beaumont looking for this season? I mean, your cup winners, you've had a great start to the season this time around. What are Beaumont looking for this time around now?
League, we've got 5 points difference between the first and second. So we're hoping that if Tigers drop any points, we can claw and try and put pressure on them. Cup, we definitely want to win because we won it last season. We know the feeling. It was a great feeling winning last time round. We won it again. We want more.
We know that we've got some footage for you of those quarter-final and semi-final games to come later on in this session. But while we're talking about the Vets, we also have to remember now the finals will take place at the end of this Summer League season. But the Summer League itself will restart next week. There are no games this week, and that's because we have something else to occupy our minds, which we'll be talking about later on in the show itself. But what we are going to do is I'm just going to show you the fixtures that are going to happen next week within the Veterans Summer League. And they resume next Monday, the 14th of September. I don't know if we can see them on the screen now. But the first division gets underway. There they are. Beaumont Masters B take on Barnardos Legends. Mostyn take on Riverside. And then again on the 17th, we've got FC Redbridge taking on Shadwell Masters. St Catherine's taking on Revive. I asked you what the A team are looking for out of this season. What about the B team?
B team are looking to basically play and have fun. And to be honest, we've already got 3 wins in a row, which was very surprising. So we were pleased with that. The key thing was to get the players playing and enjoy. So we enjoyed it. So we're 3rd in the league, which is quite surprising for us. But we're enjoying it and we're playing. And let's see what happens in the season.
And I have to ask you, Rash, because I've not had you here for a couple of weeks to ask you this question. FC Redbridge.
They're looking good. I've seen a few new additions of players, and they are performing. It's a totally different team from last season. And to be honest, they will surprise a lot of teams because a lot of opposition are thinking it's the old Redbridge. But when they turn up, it's a much better team, much organised, and some of the players actually are really quality players. So that's a surprise team in the Division 1.
And I have to say, Nanu has been saying this for a little while. He wasn't joking when he said there's things to come out of FC
Every
Redbridge.
team goes through the process that eventually, first couple of seasons, you establish yourself, and then you have to bet yourself. You have to recruit. You have to get other players involved in the club to progress. If you don't, then obviously you stay in the bottom league. And he's made the decision, and they've got a few players, and it's showing. When they're playing on the table itself, you can see they're joint third with actually on goal difference. They're 4th.
2 good games to start on that Monday, and I must ask about Revive. Revive are one of the teams that I really like the look of when I saw them in the first division. They're up against St Catherine's, who themselves are looking to bounce back. Key game for both teams there.
St Catherine's a key team on form, but Revive are very young. Well, obviously it's Vets League, but they're all 35, 36. They've got the legs. It's just a matter of can they finish in those chances and give St Catherine's something to think about.
On the 17th of September as well, that's the Thursday, we have 4 Premier Division games taking place. They're here on your screen for you right now. Abahani take on the Bromley Legends. Beaumont Masters play London Tigers. We won't look at that as any sort of precursor. Stepney Legends take on Sarvets, and Weavers take on the Tower Hamlets Vets. And I'm going to turn to you now, cameras, and talk about Tower Hamlets. Is this kind of the way it is for Tower Hamlets now, where, you know, they'll turn up and they'll kick around for the beginning of the season, and then they only take it seriously until it gets the last 4 or 5?
Well, it's a different team now, David. The first 2 seasons, they had a lot of the Brazilian and Portuguese players, and they showed what they could do. They won it 2 years in a row, undefeated both years. So I think any team will find it quite difficult to beat that record. This year, they've got a lot of Bengali players who have come up from the second team. So it's just a matter of them sort of playing and having fun and just staying together, really. The impact is different this year. The focus is different.
Okay. Do you want to say anything about your fixture against Tigers this week? I mean, taking away the whole thing that you're in your cup finalists now, it's a big game for you league-wise, and Tigers looking strong. If they win this...
Last league game, I saw Abahani play Tigers, and Tigers just beat them 1-0. So they can be beaten. In the past, they've been beaten. So Beaumont will be looking, being second with 5 points difference. This would be a chance to claw back 3 points and get the league open for other teams to obviously challenge for the title. So I think it'll be interesting on the day.
A couple of teams who are probably not performing, you know, as we probably would have expected as well. Bromley seems to have fallen away from the way they were last season. That's
one of the surprise things about Bromley. They're very quality. They added new players. Just on the day, unfortunately, just not performing. So I don't know what's going on with Bromley Legends.
Okay, and Stepney themselves as well, Stepney Legends, we've always hyped them up now. Now they've got into the Premier, it's just about maybe establishing themselves there, isn't it? Considering
it's the first season Premiership, I think they're doing well. They're top, I think they're 4th in the league. They're putting on results, and they've got a big squad of players. I think that's why they're being so successful. We can pull out the resources, so I'm not surprised, but they can do better.
Could do better. That's what we just heard from Rashid Ali. It's nice to have him back on the show, being as controversial as always. First Division table, just to remind you guys where you are and what the standings are, look like this in the Veterans Summer League. St Catherine's and Bernardo's are fighting it out at the top. They are well clear of everybody else. As Rashid said, Beaumont Masters B are there in 3rd place and are the best of the rest, but Redbridge are kicking on, and any sort of slip up from any one of the top 2 might find Redbridge just pushing hard for that runners-up spot in the First Division. And in the Prem, as we can see, Tigers are clear, 5 points clear of Beaumont and Abahani, who are right behind them. Stepney doing well in 4th, but they are the best of the rest as we move right down to Tower Hamlets with 2 points from 7 games. What we don't have right now, obviously we do have a little bit of a technical hitch in showing you highlights of the quarter-final games from last week's tournament. But I suppose what we can do is we can tell you a little bit about some of the results that happened in that quarter-final. So might as well start with Beaumont. You went into your quarter-final game, and do you know what? I hint a sense of deja vu here.
We've actually played them. This is the 3rd time in the quarter-finals we played Abahani. And luckily for all 3 times, we've actually come successful winning against them.
Edged it. Being successful is one thing. The manner of the victory.
I'll be honest with you. The game was open. Both teams had chances, and both teams were basically had even playing field. To be honest, it's just on the penalties we knew Schumann, the keeper, he made some outstanding saves. He's actually a second keeper, knew was unavailable. So Schumann coming in, stepping in, making those crucial saves in penalty and getting us into the semi-final was very, very impressive. But Abahani were very good. It's just. Both teams were playing full. I don't think both teams basically were even matched, and I think we just edged in the penalties.
So that knocked one strong Premier Division team out. Weavers then went up against Bromley, and again, not looking good for Bromley, but Weavers are a decent team on their day.
We said that before on the Cup, you know, the team that performs hungry, Weavers showed the desire. They actually went up 1-0 ahead of Bromley, and I think Bromley will be shocked and surprised. And I think they just couldn't handle the pressure, and obviously they cracked, and Weavers took advantage and beat them 2-1.
And like you're saying, FC Redbridge being a very good team, putting up an impressive display for a First Division side against London Tigers.
I think they should be proud of themselves. A, I don't think no one actually thought they'll get to the quarterfinals. And B, to lose 1-0 against a very impressive Tigers who are top of the league and scoring goals for fun and not even conceding. If you look at the table, they only conceded 1 goal in the whole league. So to lose 1-0 against London Tigers, FC Redbridge should be very proud of what they've did and what they achieved. it's a very, very good result for them.
And that was over a 20-minute cup game. Who knows what could have happened over a 40-minute league game. Well done to you. Nanu, I know you're watching Summit, so well done to Redbridge. I know you predicted something different, but you came very close. Stepney beating Bernardo 3-0. Was that an impressive Stepney victory, or Bernardo's that bad?
I actually watched a few of the Stepney. Stepney were really good. Bernardo's playing in Division 1, suddenly coming against Premiership, I think that was a shock to the system. Because yes, a couple of years back they were really good, but things have changed. They've got the same squad that they won two years ago, but Stepney looked good. They were sharp, they were very attacking minded, and obviously the goals showed the result.
So, Bromley obviously through to semi-finals, Weavers, Tigers and Stepney. Did you get the best of the semi-final draw, do you think?
We felt confident with Weavers. Actually, obviously it was going to penalties, but considering the chances we created, we hit the post, I think 3 times, hit the bar, where the keeper made a lot of saves. We kept the pressure and they defended very, very well. So credit to Weavers for taking the semi-final into penalties, but I think we deserved, based on the performance of the semi-final, not being biased, but I think we deserved it on the penalties.
Later on in the second segment of the show, we're going to see highlights of that semi-final, but we are going to talk about them, as we say. The results are here on the screen for you right now, and once again, dare I say it, Beaumont Masters squeezed themselves into the final on penalties by 3-2 against Weavers, and Tigers 1-0 is all it has to be to progress in any tournament, and 1-0 is all they needed over Stepney. Let's talk about Tigers. Stepney, like I said, in the previous round, impressive. Going to just run out of steam against Tigers.
Obviously, Campbell was played for Tigers. I'm sure he'll give a better view.
Well, let me go that way and ask you then, Cam.
I think Stepney lost too much energy against Bernardo's because they, scoring 3 goals and playing a very good team that came to win the cup, because obviously in the league they're most likely to get promoted. So they lost a lot of energy there. Having said that, we did the same with Redbridge. They really put up a fight. We scored our goal in the last 2-3 minutes. I think, we missed a penalty against Stepney second time round. We missed it in the league, now missed it in the cup. Shannon is a very, very good keeper, and he's a very good penalty stopper. I think we had the upper hand, but as you can see from the score, it was very, very tight. It was very close. It was the goal that we scored was a very good team goal. That started from the back, went to the midfield, and then the midfielder sort of whacked it with his left foot into the goal. So it was a very good team goal.
Maybe the right teams have got to the finals. It will be London Tigers versus Beaumont. We've spoken about it. Now you can see what happened. Here's all the action that happened last Thursday, starting with the quarter-final games. Here they are for you right now. final highlights of the ILFL and Shenali Otis Veterans Cup tournament that happened last Thursday. Semi-finals to show in the next segment of the show, where we'll be back and we'll talk about the awards ceremony that's taking place this week. Guys, it's here. Are you there? We'll talk more about it in the second section of the show. We'll see you after this short break.